Did you know that you are paying for stolen electricity every single month? That's right. Whether you know it or not, every time your light bill goes up, there's a chance someone else is using that power for free, and you're footing the bill. $28 million. That's how much honest, hard-working Jamaicans are paying every year to cover for those who steal electricity. It's not just the poor either. Even businesses are getting in on this scam, and it's coming out of your pocket. It's not just the ghettos or the rural areas, it's happening at every level of society. Whether it's a street vendor or a well-established business, some people are getting their electricity without paying a cent. But the rest of us? We're paying for their stolen power. Minister Darrell Vaz recently dropped this bombshell in Parliament. He confirmed that every year, electricity theft adds a heavy burden to paying customers. Imagine paying your hard-earned money for something others are stealing without consequence, and there's no immediate solution in sight. This problem is so deep-rooted that even the government admits it won't be an easy fix. So, how did we get here? Why is it that honest consumers have to cover for those who break the law? And even more puzzling, what's being done about it? Former Minister Philip Paulwell pointed out that back in August 2021, a motion was tabled with actual recommendations to solve this problem. But when asked about it, Minister Vaz said he hadn't even seen the motion. Let that sink in. A major proposal to tackle electricity theft, and it's just been sitting there. Think about that. 3 years later, and nothing's been done with it. How many more millions do we have to lose before action is taken? Every time someone bypasses their meter, every time a business taps into the grid illegally, it's you who ends up paying for it. And the number isn't small. For each year, as this continues, the burden of paying consumers gets heavier and heavier.
We're seeing an increase in the amount of electricity theft for which a consumer has to pay. So, Minister, in light of the fact that while we're seeing this increase of money that the consumer has to pay, we're seeing an increase in the profits of the JPSCO. What is being done to deal with the consumer side of the problem, which is to get them to pay less for electricity theft? What is being done by the JPSCO to lower the amount of theft that consumers have to pay for?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's good to finally see you being an advocate for the consumers, I must tell you. You were quite silent over the last few weeks. Your silence was deafening over the last few weeks between July and August. Madam Speaker, let us be frank and honest. The situation is, based on the current license that the JPS has, they recover everything from the consumer. So the fact of the matter is, whether they have a very, very aggressive anti-theft program in place or not, it makes no difference to the bottom line. The fact of the matter is that this is something that requires not only JPS, but it requires all of the stakeholders, including the government, to come up with a comprehensive plan to deal with non-technical losses, which in essence is theft. The fact is, member, that we are moving there. We are working with our partners, the IDB and the World Bank, to assist us in coming up with a proper holistic approach. But as the Minister of Finance and I have discussed, it is going to take significant amounts of funding that will have to come from the government if we are to really tackle this. There is a commitment to do so. It's a matter of finding the fiscal space. But it is a matter that has been raised at the highest level, the Prime Minister, the Cabinet, and most importantly, the Minister of Finance. And we are going in the wrong direction. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Non-technical losses are increasing rather than reducing. And at the end of the day, the consumer, each and every one of us in here, and who has a connection to JPS, pays the piper. So it is something that is high on my agenda. It is not an easy fix based on the geographics and, of course, the culture that we have. But I look forward to working with you and all other stakeholders in finding a solution and a commitment from the government to find the resources, the fiscal resources that are going to be needed to tackle this in a comprehensive manner.
In conceding that the problem has gotten worse with greater theft, is the Minister aware of a private member's motion that I had tabled some time ago, almost 3 years now, providing specific proposals for lowering the amount of theft that is occurring, thereby lowering the price of electricity to the consumers, one. And secondly, in relation to the operations of NESOL, can the Minister state what is the situation with that organization, which had as one of its function the increased use of energy efficiency devices and also regularization of electricity in urban communities?
Question number one, member, is I don't have a copy of that, and I would wish for you to provide me with one, and I'd be more than happy to discuss it in detail with you. And secondly, as we are aware, NESOL is closed, and that has been taken over by the ministry under my Minister of State, Honorable J.C. Hutchinson. There is a program for rural electrification that continues. It is not funded to my expectations, but the fact of the matter is that the funds from NESOL did come back to the ministry, and you will recall that it went to the Ministry of Local Government and only came back to us last year in terms of the rural electrification program, and that is being spearheaded. And I have been out several times before Beryl, and there are some programs that are being done by JSIF, as you know, and JPS, but there still is a tremendous amount of communities that do not have proper electricity, and it is something that we are going to continue to advocate for additional funding. I'm even hoping that a possibility of getting some funds in the supplementary that is to come shortly, the first supplementary, to be able to continue that program.
So, what's next? Will the government finally take real action? Will businesses and households be held accountable? The truth is, until something changes, we'll continue to see higher bills for honest Jamaicans, but we can't just sit back and accept that. Minister Vaz says efforts are underway, and we hope they move quickly to ease the pressure on all of us who pay our fair share. But what can you do in the meantime? Start by spreading awareness. The more Jamaicans know about the real cost of electricity theft, the louder our voices will be for change. So, tell me, how do you feel knowing that part of your hard-earned money is going to cover for someone else's theft? What would you do to stop this? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's keep the conversation going. This is a national issue that affects every one of us. If you found this video eye-opening, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to stay informed, and let's demand the change we deserve.